Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we're jumping right in today with a very specific question for you. When you're scouting tight ends, does that player profiler agility score, does it actually matter? Does it predict, real fantasy success?
It's a great question, and it's one that a lot of people just kind of gloss over. But first things first, we have to get the main rule straight. A lower agility score is better. It means a faster time, which, obviously means better agility on the field.
Lower is better. Got it.
And just for context, the study we're digging into here looked at the top 50 PPR fantasy finishers every year since 2005. So we're talking about really relevant players.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. The researchers, they isolated the elite, right? The top 10 guys. And they compared them against the bottom 10, so players ranked 41st to 50th. Why do that? I mean, doesn't that risk skewing the data by only looking at the extremes?
You'd think so. But it was actually a really deliberate choice. They wanted to maximize the contrast. They weren't looking for traits that, most good players have. They wanted to find what separates the absolute best from the guys who are just kind of there.
So they cut out that messy middle.
Exactly. And as soon as they did that, a really consistent trend started to pop out. Lower, which is better, agility scores were clearly linked to higher fantasy scores.
And that initial link, that correlation, it gets pretty powerful when you look at the consistency. The study found that in 80% of the seasons they looked at, that's 12 out of 15 years, the top 5 finishers had better agility scores than the guys way down in that 31st to 50th range.
Which is just a massive signal. It's not a fluke.
No, it tells you that elite fluidity, that ability to change direction, it's a super common thread for the very best tight ends in the game.
Right. But that 80% number, while it proves the link, it's not really something you can use in a draft. It's not an actionable number.
It's a signal, not a tool.
Precisely. So that pushed the research toward finding a practical benchmark, a real number you can use to compare prospects.
So what's the magic number? What did they land on as that threshold for top-tier performance?
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting ability so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
After running a bunch of different scenarios, they found the sweet spot. It's an agility score of 11.6 and below.
11.6. And here's where it gets really interesting for anyone trying to build a roster. When they isolated that group, the tight ends with a score of 11.6 or better, those guys had a 17.8% higher top 10 appearance rate than the bottom tier group.
And that's a huge edge. That's the filter you can actually apply when you're scouting.
A 17.8% better chance. I'll take that.
And for anyone who needs the hard math to back it up, this isn't just a casual observation. It's statistically validated.
They ran the numbers.
They used the Pearson correlation coefficient, and the result was a negative 0.146.
Okay, so a negative number. Break that down for us. What does that actually mean?
It's actually pretty simple. The negative value just proves there's a strong inverse correlation. So the better, as in the lower the agility score.
The higher the chance of fantasy success.
You got it. The relationship is statistically locked in for tight ends.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The conclusion seems pretty clear. Agility is not just a nice to have. It really, really matters.
It absolutely does.
The data basically says don't waste your time on unathletic tight ends. So if you're stuck between two guys this summer, the statistically safer bet is the one with the better, lower agility score, especially if he's in that 11.6 or below range.
And just to leave you with one final thought on how strong that connection is, that Pearson value, the negative 0.146 for agility.
Yeah.
It's actually very close in statistical strength to a metric we all accept as gospel, QB draft capital. In a similar study, that came in at negative 0.219.
Wow. So it's almost as predictive as where a quarterback gets drafted.
It's in the same ballpark, and that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a physical trait like agility is this predictive, what other quantifiable trait should we be prioritizing when we're evaluating talent? Something to think about.